Spirit always wants us to understand what's happening and then gives us some practical advice about what do we need to know regarding this energy. And what we need to know is that the collective is saying enough is enough. And once again, Spirit promises that all works of evil will always be used for good. 2022 is the frequency where equilibrium has been reached, and we will begin to see the human spirit triumphant. Though Spirit says we must be prepared for a long haul to reclaim our sovereignty, we must remain vigilant, as there will be plants and decoys throughout. So Spirit speaks to these plants and decoys as coming from the powers that were. They have technology which allows them to foresee how events can take shape. And of course, they always want to have their players in the game so that they can shape the reality. But we have to understand that the human spirit is so much bigger than anything that they can come up with. And that as long as we continue to maintain equilibrium with each other, that we've already come to the other side of this. We're just kind of watching ourselves play it out. We're also needing to be aware, Spirit said that, of course, I'm sure we've become pretty aware of this by now, but there's a slow stepping away of our human rights, and that many are giving up the notion of free will. And Spirit says that this is a big problem, that free will is what actually makes this planet the destination to come to, because you get to experience such a fast evolution when you have the choice of whether you want to be connected to the divine or not. But that we are collectively giving up our notion of free will right now under this guise of good intentions, under this guise of helping one another. But instead, it's actually helping us to become one with the hive mind. And the archons are attempting to blur our realities through technology. And we've talked about this on the metaverse call. So just something to be aware of, that we are reaching equilibrium. And in fact, Spirit said we've been running a race all this time, but we're finally running an equal race. And the vision I saw was that before, whenever we would try to run this race, the powers that were always there, like constantly tripping us and pantsing us. And there's like only so far you can run when your pants are around your ankles and you're constantly being tripped. So the lyrics here were, God is on my side. Now I'm running from nothing. So we are once again encouraged by this feeling of equilibrium this year, that we're not going to have to be constantly under this feeling of oppression and suppression like we have been, which has been really in our face for the last 2 years. And that whole feeling our way through the dark, Spirit brings this up again, that we are going to be blind in the forest for a time. And so if we're relying on our minds to assess what is good for us or to assess where we're supposed to be, we're going to find ourselves very overwhelmed and out of our element. That's why we're being asked to meditate and to pray, to actively listen to God, because then we are in tune and we are going to be able to feel our way through the dark. We're going to intuitively know exactly where we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to eat, who we're supposed to talk to, what we're supposed to wear. All of those things naturally just happen, but they do not come from a mentalized perspective. We also need to trust, as we're blind in this forest, that we know and we have all the wisdom that we need for this part of the journey, that another type of sight is required for where we are going next. So this cannot rely on the five senses. And I think it's sometimes a little bit amusing that, the frequency that is coming in that we are labeling COVID-19 often is taking away some of the five senses for a time. And from Spirit's perspective, these are all DNA and spiritual, physical and spiritual upgrades that are actually allowing another type of sight to come in.